Welcome to the Evening Gamer. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Guy. Welcome, everybody.
We've done this 68 times.
Not today, just you mean in general over the last 2 years.
Oh, yeah, no. Wow. Had we gone through 68 takes today, I don't think I would have gone for a 69th.
If we were doing 68 takes today, we would have given up. We don't have the time for that.
Yeah,
And
100%.
dear listener, you probably haven't heard from us in a little while now. I can't remember the last time we recorded. It was probably a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 4. I don't know.
I've
Feels
grown a
while.
beard since the last time.
You certainly have. You certainly have.
I've
probably had 2 haircuts in the time. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not keeping track.
I'm rocking the very rugged, kind of unemployed look, if I'm honest. I'm pushing it.
I mean, you work from home like a little bit of the time, don't you?
Twice a week.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, doesn't look that homeless, and you're currently in your home.
I didn't say homeless. You're saying I look homeless?
Isn't that what you just said?
Oh, I said unemployed.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Or are they parallel? They correlated.
I mean, if you're unemployed, it's probably hard to keep a house. But anyway, nonetheless.
In this economy, yeah.
In this economy, very much true. Apologies you haven't heard from us, everybody. Not that, I feel like you've missed us. Looking back over the last couple of weeks, I don't know if there was a lot really going on. Pragmata dropped, which is a Capcom game. Looks all right. Seems to be doing well. Not on my list currently, but aside from that, it's just sort of been some game trailers. But there are a number of tasty games coming out soon, T. I know you've got news, but I've got my eye on a couple of tasty games. Do you want to do news first?
Looking forward to it. Yeah, you're right. It has felt like a bit of a lull. Yeah. I feel like this year went bang, 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 bang. And then the last 4 weeks have been like, enjoy all those bangs, everyone.
Yeah, that's how
no bangs.
I kind of felt about it. Yeah.
No bangs in April.
No bangs. No bangs.
No bangs. There was something, but in order to not get sidetracked.
Crimson Desert and sort of Pragmata were probably the two big ones of the last little stint.
True, but before he gets into that,
yes,
quick around the grounds. There is some news. There has been news. Well, there's been no bangs. There's been news. Did you know, Guy, that they are developing an Elden Ring movie?
I did. I am aware. A1, yes, is the producing.
A1?
A24? A24, sorry. Yes, thank you for the correction.
Did you know because I sent you multiple things about it this week? Did you know before that?
I did know before that because I've been tracking it, and the director of it, I've obviously seen some of his other work, and the sets are kind of popping up all over the place. So I am aware of it. I have just seen it's going to be the most expensive A24 movie of all time.
Yeah, 100 mil.
100 over 100 mil looks pretty good, and I think it's Alex Garland. I think is the director, if my memory serves me well.
Sounds right.
Geez, did he do The Beach? I feel like he did The Beach. Maybe that's...
Is that a good movie? Is he aligned with A24?
Not generally, but he have spoken to him and seemed to be the only guy for the job because he loved it. I think he went out and did a huge presentation to the gentleman who did Elden Ring. Remind me.
What you're putting me on the spot with the actual publishers. Well, I can't get Hideo Kojima out of my mind, but it's not.
Yeah, the other one.
It's the other guy who I've completely blanked it on. You should have made me have that ready before this.
Yeah, I know. That's terrible.
It's from software, but the individual guy I can't remember right now.
Yeah. So he did the novel for The Beach, Alex Garland.
There you go. I feel like that's a good movie.
It is. It's a great movie.
I see that goes on my feed all the time. There's some creepy moments in that. Clippable movie, is it not?
Yeah, it's clippable. I wouldn't say it's creepy. Like it's it's a Leo doing Leo stuff in his early heyday.
That old chestnut.
Yeah, he is very memeable. That guy though.
He is for sometimes reasons outside of film. Well. Anyway, moving on. Swiftly digressing.
Yes.
No. We're done.
Okay.
Elden Ring is getting developed into a movie by A24. Yes. They're saying 2028-ish kind of timeline now, which is pretty good. 100 mil. Will they get it right? Is there too much content in that game that you kind of don't know where to look?
Well,
and what storyline do you focus on? Like,
you're asking super valid questions here because one, doing it as a movie, you go, look, you've got 90 to maybe 2, maybe 3 hours if you're going to do a massive one to fit in how many bosses. So you basically, and then you've got the question of, with most movies, there is, the protagonist, sort of learning his way, collecting stuff along the way, I guess, becoming more powerful. How many fights are they going to fit into it? And I'm hoping, and if you were going to give it to anyone, Alex Garland is the person to give it to. Like he was, from what I've read, he's played that game probably as many times as you has, T, maybe more. Like he's addicted to that game.
That's who they need doing
got the right guy in it. A24 is the right sort of movie producing development company, whatever they call it, behind it. That's right up their alley. I just hope he makes sort of a non-stop boss battle kind of thing where he's picking up the loot, putting new helmets on, and they're giving him powers, and he's just getting more and more souped up along the way. Like I think that sounds like a popcorn movie I want to see.
Yeah, I'd give it a good shot. I can't wait. I hope they do it justice. It's Hidetaki Miyazaki, by the way.
There you go. Nice.
So, for us Aussies, not the easiest name to remember, to be fair.
Moving on swiftly.
Game Pass decreasing again. So we've gone down, up, cancelled. Then we came back. Now we've gone up, and now we're coming back down. They can't figure it out.
Well,
they got us jumping from foot to foot over there at Microsoft.
I think Microsoft probably would have seen the player count decreasing, and I think they had a new head of Xbox come in. They probably changed up maybe a little bit of how it was going, and
I think those shake-ups are pretty good.
Well. I think they've removed the Call of Duty games. I think Activision was probably drawing, making the price a fair bit more. So they were sort of going, look, is it really worth having them in there for the player count? Who knows? But, I'm fine with it, whatever.
Yeah, me too. Well, it's back down to $15, and I think you're right. I think they wanted to kind of go on that train. It's like, hey, you're going to be paying a lot more, but there's going to be heaps more in the catalog. And gamers are like, well, that's not really why I have Game Pass. I don't have it for my A+ tier games. I'm happy to buy those. I have it for like that cheeky find every now and then. I have it for Minecraft. I have it for No Man's Sky. I don't have it for the new COD every year.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's, yeah. If you kind of almost annually have to kind of do a consideration of going, am I getting bang for my buck out of it? We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
You do find some gems in there around them, every once in a while. Admittedly, like with this pod, I probably haven't been hunting it as much anymore. Like, I feel like back maybe a year or so ago, I was in there fairly often going, what's the latest games coming out in it?
Yeah.
But, at the moment, I'm just buying the latest release almost every time that I want to play. I was sort of Pragmata was one that I was tempted on but didn't pull the trigger. But Saros is the next one, that I'm definitely pulling the trigger on in the not too distant future. And we're about 7 days away as we're recording this of when that drops.
Nice.
Super excited for that one.
Arc Raiders plummets. This thing hits new lows, bro. And it feels like not long ago we were sitting here praising it because it is a fantastic game. And I was thinking today, it's like, how does a player pool drop 80% in like 3 to 4 months?
Wow.
And I mean, like, I think they made, when I remember playing Arc Raiders, I actually got a little fatigued with it.
Yeah.
Because I remember you'd go in and like the combat, it's not really actually a PvP combat game.
No.
Like your resources expend really fast. You need to build your entire, stock and inventory every time you go out. It was much more suited to PvE. PvE was the heart and soul of that game. It's like taking down the Leapers, taking down all this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And like that's where I got most of my enjoyment out. And I just got really, so maybe that's played into it. Or maybe this is like a natural player, arc kind of attention span that we see for these extraction shooters. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's a huge drop.
Oh, well, I mean, it's a massive drop. Like I'm just kind of thinking of other games, multiplayer games that have come out over the last little while, like Helldivers 2. You could probably run through a couple of them whereby they've maintained a level of player count over a long period of time, and they're probably the pin-up, of comparing them to an Arc Raiders to say, well, what are they doing right that Arc Raiders isn't? And I think Arc Raiders, one, yes, there is a huge fatigue to it. You play that game, you go in, you get absolutely murked by another player, you lose all your gear, and you step back. And eventually, I think that wanes on you, where you just kind of feel like, I don't
want to play this today. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah,
today.
I could play something else where I don't lose my gear if I go down. And I think that's always the risk reward with extraction shooters. Like, geez, it gets your blood going. And like I probably would say it wasn't targeted more at I think you and I had the most fun taking out the Arc enemies. and there was the enjoyment of the risk of being hit by a player was always fun and added a new dimension to it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just the post-launch care that the game, that the developers did with it, where it's like they didn't expect it to be that big of a hit. It was, and then they weren't prepped with, now we're going to do this, now we're going to do that. Here's a new map, here's a new this, here's just to kind of tweak it all. I think they tried, but it just didn't land very well.
I also don't think they're kind of prestiging equivalent.
Yeah,
that kind of mini reset was very worthwhile. So I think a lot of players saw this roof, and after they'd done, like all those mini quests, the main storyline quests, once you'd upgraded your workbench enough, it was kind of like, well, where
do you go from here?
Do I go from here? I know for myself, once I beat a matriarch, I then killed every single enemy in that game, and I was like,
done. Yeah.
I don't need to get to 100% to know that I've enjoyed it, and maybe it's coming to an end for me.
No, agreed, mate. Yeah.
I just thought that was a huge shout, because that's a massive drop, and there'd be probably a number of people listening just be like, yeah, I don't play it anymore.
Yeah.
So if you don't play it for a different reason, would love to hear from you. info@theeveninggamer.com.au, but I'm going to let Guy go over to his new releases here. We're going to try and stay on time here, Guy.
Yes, we are.
So ridiculous babbling. So hit us with those those new releases, my man.
So the three games that I'm probably most excited for that are right around the corner, I've done my little homework on this. So I've already name dropped Saros, House Marquee, talked about it every time. Returnal, I'm going to be buying this day one. I'll let you know. I'll do a first impressions of it. Then we'll do a full review on it. The full workup. Next up is Lego Batman. I sent you a clip on this. It looks like a Lego game that I want to play. And like, I know a lot of people talk Lego games and they love them. They rave about them. They rate them heavily. I've dipped my toe in, few and far between in these titles. It seems almost religious for some people to play these games. This looks to be the first one that I'm like, I'm keen for this. Like, it looks like they've done it really well. Building your bat base, your cave and stuff. Like, some of the trailers I'm seeing on that looks really exciting. It looks a lot of fun.
Yeah, I also think you can't put an age limit on fun. Like, I will play any game if there is enjoyment to be had.
Agreed.
I feel like sometimes, like, like one of the Lego games, you expect that kind of age group between, I don't know, if they're gaming by this age, which my son certainly won't be.
Or something. I don't know.
Somewhere in that age bracket, right? But it's like, actually, if it's fun and it's a good couch game, I'll give it a whack.
Oh, man.
And you're right. They're looking at doing a lot of additional things rather than just the normal kind of step-by-step level design. So pretty good.
They look to be packing in a hell of a lot to it, 100%. And I agree with you, mate. Like, every once in a while on my feeds, you see these sort of boomer gamers, and like, they're still having fun, man. Let them do it. There was, the one that I always love watching is this ex-military dude who's clearly in his like 80s and he's playing Battlefield, but he was a sniper, back in the military, and he's just popping heads in that game and he's loving every minute of it. He's very entertaining. The third game on my list, and these are all right around the corner, basically in the next month or so heading into May, is 007 First Light.
Yes. I can't wait for this.
Gameplay on that. Like, I've kind of, like movies, I try not to watch too much of the trailers, because you kind of go like, I hate seeing everything that would happen in the game in a trailer, and it's kind of ruined for you, where it's like the little fun moments are lost on you. But, from what I've seen of it, looks really good, really excited for it. It's kind of, it's reminding me a bit of Uncharted. It's got a bit of an Uncharted kind of vibe to it. But, it's 007, and I've got really fond memories of playing the OGs of that. I mean, going back as far as obviously the N64 one, but some of the ones after that, Nightfire, I think there was one. There was a bunch that just, I remember playing through and having a great time with. So definitely will be playing that one. They are the three on my list that I'm looking forward to most.
I will 100% do that as well.
They're great picks, yeah.
And you're so right. Like, when we're looking for a movie sometimes, and I watch. If I'm engaged by the first 10 seconds of the trailer, I'm like, cool, switch it off, let's start the movie.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't need to see, because sometimes I've watched trailers, especially when you go to the cinema, when you watch the cinema trailers, the ones that go for like 3-4 minutes, by the time they finish, you're like, I feel like I've just seen that whole movie.
Yeah, like there are times where, like, good trailers with like a director who's clearly even almost directed the trailer and gone, we're not showing this, we are showing that, we're showing a snippet of this. They do it, to get the audience in, to show, to fucking make you spend your money at the cinema. But then you see these other ones and you go, I don't think the director had anything to do with this trailer because it's the whole movie just shortened into the trailer.
Yeah.
It's all the funny parts of the movie are in the trailer. You don't need to see the movie now.
I actually think that you should film your trailer completely separately from the film.
Yeah,
like
when I think some bits that you don't even use in the movie.
Yeah, when I think of some of like the best game trailers, like think of like Halo 3, the one where the kids, you might not remember this, but everyone that's listening, go and watch the Halo. I think it's the Halo 3 trailer. I'm pretty sure. Halo 3 trailer. It's these two kids. They're like lying in grass, talking about the stars and if aliens are going to come to the planet. And then she asks him a question and it looks over to him. And then there's just this explosion and the Spartan chief wakes up in the middle of a battlefield and like there's no gameplay. It's just this trailer of like Halo and what it is and that the battle's back. And it's like, that's so good.
Yeah.
You don't need to, like, I don't need to know what guns are in it. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean.
Just design it completely separately.
Like, it is funny though, because like there were so many times back around that time where that Halo trailer came out, games were doing trailers where they were kind of animated live action-y kind of things like that. And people used to get up in arms about it being like, show us gameplay. Like, we know it's not going to look like that. Like, it got a fair bit of criticism from memory.
Well, yeah, it depends. For games, yeah, okay, you want to see gameplay. That can be released a week before, or, like the gameplay trailer a week before or something like that.
Yeah.
Like how much gameplay do you really need to see? You just want to make sure that it looks nice, that you can play well with the controller, that, that the camera isn't in the back of your head. Like what you really need to see from a gameplay perspective to make you sold on something. Probably those 3 or 4 things.
We're like, it's funny though, because like from a gameplay perspective, like it's kind of not any of those things. It's more just to like inform the gamer, it does look good. Because like I feel like there's plenty of times where, it's the cyberpunks of yesteryear, they release that thing and they go, there's wall running, there's this, there's that, and then the game launches and doesn't have that. It's kind of a proof of life to say this is actually what this game will be like.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely what this game is. Like if you have a trailer where it's like first person and then I jump in and it's top down, I'm going to be like, well, probably should have released a gameplay trailer to show me that it was, but that's all I need to know. I don't need to know storylines or all the weapons and all that cool shit.
Agreed. And I mean, I feel like this does flow on well to, I'm going to do a little blurb about Crimson Desert before we're going to hand over to T for his review this evening. So Crimson Desert. So I did a first impression on this. And at the time, I think I put in about 10 to 15 hours, which, in the grand scheme of gaming, and you think about some games that are out there, 10 to 15 hours can be for some games, sort of a quarter way through a game, halfway through a game. With Crimson Desert, 10 to 15 hours into it is like, I would almost go so far as to say is about 5 to maybe 7% of the game or something like that. Like it is an astronomically huge game. It is mammoth. So I barely had probably scratched the surface. Nonetheless, I gave it criticism because the story wasn't, hitting me in all the right places. I wasn't engrossed. It was sort of each cutscene was kind of not exactly tethering to the next. Things were sort of just a bit hokey at times. And I was putting it in the bracket of Dragon's Dogma 2. I thought it was going to be a launch. People were going to go, it's not kind of what I wanted it to be. And a pile-on was going to ensue. Since then, one, I'm still playing it now. So despite my criticisms around the story, it hasn't mattered at all. It doesn't matter at all. The story being what it is, of basically sort of a paint by numbers kind of whatever, doesn't matter. They've done fantastic post-launch improvements. So pretty much each update, and there was a massive update today, has improved the game no end. Like it has just really leveled it up considerably. And I got to be honest, I'll put my hand up and say the pylon hasn't ensued. They've done a really good job. And the more I'm playing it, the better it is. And there's a really weird thing about it. That do you remember, T, back when we were playing as younger lads, that there was a time where a game would release and you would hit the limits of the map, and you'd kind of go, this is as much as they could have packed in on that disc. The disc had like a physical limitation that sometimes playing an open world, you could feel the limit of the game, where you've explored everything, you've gone everywhere, and the developers were like, well, we had this whole idea to do blah 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 blah, but we just couldn't fit it on the disc.
Yeah.
That clearly now we are in an age where that doesn't matter anymore. Like the amount of data they're able to pump into these things, and the hardware and the software, all the rest of it, we've exceeded the imagination of the gamer. And like there are certain games where this is evidence, and Crimson Desert is one of those games. And I think there are other ones. The one you would just mention before, Outer Wilds, or whatever it was. That one. That like the game world is so massive that it's unfathomable, how they've been able to effectively do this and combine it all together. And Crimson Desert is like that. Like there is just, the more you play it, the deeper you go into this world, and there's so much to explore. And you just kind of go, it's not randomly generated content either. It's not like they've just kind of gone, right, put up this POI and have it randomly, whatever, like a Starfield almost. It is like fully thought out, well designed. There is puzzles, there's this. Like it really is like Legend of Zelda on drugs, like on a serious amount of drugs. It's so impressive. You got to give it credit where it's due, and I'm really addicted, and like I'm fighting with myself because I know I've got Saros coming out in about 5-6 days. I'm a completionist. There is no fucking way in hell I'm going to complete this game by the time Saros comes out.
Yeah.
Like a lot of articles, even now, people are still commenting. The game's been out for 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it is. Still haven't
left now, dude. I think it's like
possibly, yeah. They still haven't left the first area of the game, and they're like 100 hours into the game. And there is like 3 to 4 to 5 significant areas in this game. So you honestly, like the amount of hours gameplay time that this game could actually maintain, if you want dollar value, bang for your buck, and you enjoy an exploration kind of game that is sort of Legend of Zelda, as I said, on drugs, you get your money's worth out of this. I'll tell you that for free.
Well, that's good to hear. Like that is actually good to hear, because I've been yearning for another open world game. Hey, like I'm playing Skyrim, but it's certainly the capabilities and the quality of yesteryear.
Okay,
the latest Elder Scrolls. We're talking.
They've done. We're talking
the latest re-up was 10 years ago.
Really? Okay. I thought they would have like high-defed it and done new coats of paint and all.
Look, it doesn't look terrible. It doesn't
constantly updating it.
It doesn't look terrible.
Okay.
But it's not breathtaking.
Okay.
And it's fun. Don't get me wrong, but I've just been yearning for a new open world game. It's probably what I should have said.
I mean, like if you want breathtaking, this game it is breathtaking. There are parts where I stand there and you look out on a vista, and you can go anywhere your eye can see.
That's sick.
Your eye can see a fucking lot, mate. Like it goes forever, this game, and like you see off in the distance, and like I've watched some of these clips online, and like I love stories. I'm a story-driven gamer. That's what I love doing.
Yeah,
I love experiencing the story. So for me to enjoy this game, I've thrown the story out the window. I don't care about the story at all. I don't care about what the fucking characters say in the quest,
which
or
is
whatever.
so unlike you.
Yeah,
that is. Yeah,
I couldn't care less, actually. Like I'm now fast forwarding through every cutscene just to get back to the gameplay. I'm reading the subtitles, but I don't give a shit about what they say. Like it's basically go here, do that. And you're like, yeah, whatever. Okay, cool. I'll go there and I'll do that.
Sick. I'll check the quest log after this conversation.
Just to unlock the next fucking thing in this game. But the thing is, like, you see these clips online, and it's like I'm becoming addicted now to go. My character at the start is just some dude with a sword and a shield. By the end of it, you're a fucking mech warrior flying around with lasers shooting off yourself with a full coat of arms and this and that, and there's electricity flying and fire going everywhere. Like the levels of this, you eventually fly. There's dragons. There's like it's like the amount that's packed into this game. It's insane. It's insane.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, and like one last thing I'll say on it too before we go to your thing. So many games, when you play them, at early front door, they load you with a lot of skills where you start and there's not the sequential kind of, over the course of a game. It's kind of, they front load a lot of it, so you kind of get a lot of skills, and then you're just kind of leveling up your skills that you've already gotten. Do you know what I mean? Like in a skill tree where you're just kind of plussing one on a skill tree.
I got you.
This game, like, there is the slowness that they unpeel things and hand you components to this game. Like, you're still obtaining new features like 100 hours in. Like it's absolutely crazy how well thought out the staggering of the components of giving you new skills, new elements that you can play with in this game so deep into it. It's what it makes you more addicted to it, because as you said before, Arc Raiders, you kill all the bosses and you're done with it. Some games you go, right, I know this game's like 200 hours, but I've got all the skills, now I'm just clearing the map out, like, and it's all very like, the same. Very much it's Assassin's Creed. It's the same. Whereas this is not that. So, look, we put a clip of me giving it some flack, and some of the comments were rather colorful, might I add. But I'll put my hand up and say I was wrong. It's a very good game. I'm enjoying it. It hasn't sold as many, so it sold 5 million in the first month, which puts it at like a really solid release. But there is a whole bunch of games that have obviously outcast it, like, by a mile. The Elden Rings, even Hogwarts Legacy has outsold it within that period of time. So it isn't the massive game that I wanted it to be, but it's still a really fucking good game. And Pearl Abyss, the developers, deserve all the credit that they should get for this game, for their post-launch work, for what they've been able to build. Over to you.
Done to
I'll shut the fuck up.
No, you're all good. I got 5 weeks of Pat Leaf coming up soon, so maybe that one's on the agenda.
I'd put it on.
I still got Baldur's Gate to get through as well. So
mate.
I don't know. Who knows?
You're just adding it, like Skyrim. You're just adding like the biggest games you could possibly play.
Back at uni as well, and works anyway. I'm excited to talk about what I'm talking about today.
Yeah, hit us. Let's go.
I am talking about the First Berserker, Khazan. Khazan, the First Berserker. Now, I was kind of drawn to this game initially. I heard about its launch, but it was I wouldn't say it was a shadow drop, but it didn't gain much traction. I think that this is a game that probably a lot of people are sleeping on.
I think it went under the radar, yeah.
And the reason why is I think there's been a lot of releases like this that have missed the mark as of late. For example, Wolong, Fallen Dynasty would have been a perfect example. You put these two games side by side and you go, I don't really want to play another Wolong right now, because it's very, very it's much the same kind of beast that they've made here. But I found it in the game, not the Game Pass. I found it in the store one day, and the price tag was all right, and I was like, I got a little gap in the schedule. Sure. Like, let's see what this is all about. Like, when it comes to spending $50-ish on a game, that I will throw away a pineapple to find out if a game's worth it or not.
Yeah, fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, let's give it a go. Anyway, here's the intro. The First Berserker Khazan. It is a 2025 action RPG developed by Neopol, however you would like to say that.
Okay.
Published by Nexon. Now, I have narrowed down what a Souls-like game is, Guy. We've spoken about this a few times. It's like, what is a Souls-like? What defines a Souls-like? And I was also drawn to this game because people say that it's a Souls-like. And I'm here to tell you that this is not a Souls-like. Okay. And the only reason I can say that, well, at least by my criteria.
Yeah.
And I can say that with confidence because I have narrowed down for every gamer out there what a Souls-like is. Here's what it is, right? A Souls-like game is constant, unforgiving terrain with death around every misstep. Now, anyone that's played any of the Dark Souls will know exactly what I mean. You fall off a tiny little flower bed, kind of ledge at the wrong angle and you die. That's Souls. Also, loss of XP upon death, very, very Souls-like. Not level-based. I think Souls-like games need to be open world. There needs to be player autonomy. It can't be linear. Right? So that's why things like Sekiro are out. They're great games in their own right. Are they Souls-like? They're not. Also, three more very important things that constitute a Souls game are attribute-oriented leveling systems, meaning that there's like 6 to 8, right? Usually consisting of things like strength, mage abilities, dexterity, defense, whatever it might be. But that's it. There's no like, hey, level up your special arm, or hey, like, I don't know, like, oh, here's a new combo, right?
Yeah.
No, only attribute leveling up systems. That is a Souls-like. Also, dodge-based combat system. No, if it is parry-based, it is not a Souls. The reason being is because dodge-based combat systems are far more challenging than parry-based.
You reckon?
It is easier to get a 4 or 5 parries in a row than it is to get a 4 or 5 dodges, or to learn which way to dodge rather than just parry. Parry, you can just stand there, and if you hit a button at the right time, you're good.
Oh,
it's like dodge-based. You need to move. That's my opinion. It can't be a Souls game. Can't be parry-based. It can have parry in there, but as we know, like in parry, Elden Ring was incredibly hard to parry. For example, very hard to parry, very underpowered, and I think that's intentional. I think that's because that is the criteria they want for their games. No parry-based, and also, of course, incredibly hard bosses. Like when someone tells you I beat that boss in the first time, they weren't playing a Souls game. It just doesn't happen.
Okay, all right. I mean, like. Okay. I mean, I feel like, obviously we can debate on the, question of the parry versus dodging, I think because you've always been a parrier and I've always been a dodger. I think it's sort of where your preferences tend to lie in it, but I think if with you sort of defining the genre that is Souls-like games, I'd probably go, I think that it could be some contention in how quite you've defined it. I think you even mentioned it being open world. I'd go, well, is that quite the definition of it? Let's agree to disagree on that one. But, I think you could cop some flack for your definition
Probably.
there.
But like diehard Dark Souls and Souls-like players would agree that like these games that are parry-based, that are linear, like Wukong, like Sekiro, like Khazan, they're not Souls. It's just not. There's not enough autonomy as to how you navigate the story.
I mean, like, I wouldn't. Maybe they're not Souls-like, but maybe they're Souls-light. Of that kind of
if you want to create your own little subcategory there and go Souls-light, I would
say I'm not creating it. Like that is a genuine genre.
Okay, well, yeah, fair. Anyway, that I just thought I had all those thoughts, and I was like, I play so many Souls games now. What is it? And they're all the ones that came to me.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
A lot of them were missing in this game, which is why I wouldn't call it a Souls-like. But yes, Souls-light, yeah, probably. Because there's a lot of similarities there, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into the storyline, and I'm going to try and hammer this out.
Okay.
There's a lot to talk about. I enjoyed this game, so let's get into it.
Okay.
You play as General Khazan, right? You're like this lost servant, King's Guard kind of dude, if you will. You're a loyal servant of the crown and the last warrior in this kingdom that has killed a Berserker dragon, which is like the kin of these dragons kind of plagued the existence of humans. Like it's just been in this fantasy world, there's been this ongoing battle between these Berserker dragons and humanity, right? You're the last warrior that killed the Berserker dragon that kind of birthed all these little things running around, killing you and causing chaos, really. But you've been betrayed by the king. You've been sentenced to death. You've been relocated away from this royal family who you're super close to. It's like imagine if Zelda's dad cast Link out, right? That's essentially the storyline that they're going with here. During his extrication, if you will, a demon going by the name of Blade Phantom, who's this like amalgamation of ghosts and powerful souls in the underworld, and serves his ruler called Charon, wants to use General Khazan's body as this vessel to kind of like come to Earth and solve their own problems that they're having.
Right.
Because the issue that Phantom is having, who's this kind of amalgamation of souls and ghosts, is that chaos has been summoned into the world. And chaos is kind of this energy that possesses humans, gets them to do like really awful things. And then once chaos has drained you, destroys your soul. And therefore your soul can't go anywhere, can't go to the heavens, can't go to hell. So it's creating this balance between the living, this imbalance rather, between the living and the dead.
Right.
And therefore there's kind of this disruption between the two realms. And so he's coming to Earth to try and, fix that. Very early in the game, Phantom and Khazan come to this agreement that they're both kind of as powerful as each other. And rather than one of them possess that body and one of them use their body for what they want to do, they decide to work together. And so you and Phantom literally become one, and you start to take on some of his powers and some of his attributes, and he's able to use you as a vessel to kind of fight for these bad things that are going on.
Yeah.
And eventually, as the story progresses, your motivations become more and more aligned because you realize that they're intertwined in a way with all these betrayals that are going on and everything that's come to Earth and how it's affecting the people that kind of cast you out. That's the storyline. And I loved it. Like, I liked that storyline. Like, at first, like, there's a little bit of, there's very much a pilot of stuff to watch. And you're like, oh, like, is this going to lose me a little bit? The gameplay is really simple. But then after that kind of, because that happens really early, it was like, like, that's a storyline I can get on board with. I'm keen to see where they take this. Looks good. Character development. I like this. As I said, the relationship that you build not only with NPCs and your enemies and how that's kind of explained to you throughout the story, but also this ongoing bond that you build with this character, the Phantom Blade. It's actually pretty good. The tit for tat that they have, the back and forth they have. Every time you finish a mission, you can go back to the crevice, which is like the round table. Very, very common theme in soul lights, if you will, and soul likes. And every kind of NPC that you save ends up going back there as they normally do. Their dialogue progresses as you develop friendships with them. They help you out in some sort of way. And you as a character as well, you really do kind of transform from this really angry, betrayed, kind of militant, if you will, to this kind of noble warrior as your motivations change throughout the story. So in terms of the character development, really liked it. The world build, linear at times. Sometimes exhausting, but not terrible. As I'll say it again, I'm kind of yearning for an open world game.
Yeah.
And at times, levels before bosses in this game just felt like I was just ticking a box. Like, you become pretty strong.
Yeah.
A lot of the combat systems that you have really serve kind of the environment. It wasn't too challenging. The way it looked was pretty good. The variety that they had in there was pretty good. There were some levels that were up and down, top to bottom. There were some levels that were rather vast with lots of nooks and crannies for loot. And then the only challenge that I'd say is not so much how hard it was to get through certain areas, but how long sometimes you went without a checkpoint.
Yeah.
So they did that very well. Environmental challenges throughout, we've seen it all before, the freeze, the poison, the lightning, all that type of stuff incorporated in different levels in different areas throughout the maps. World build was pretty good. The only thing that I would say is that it's kind of like, with linear games where you kind of get to the end of it and you're like, oh, I'm enjoying the bosses now, but I could kind of leave behind another 40-minute level to get there.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt. But all in all, pretty good.
Okay.
Well designed as well. Mechanics, a little bit bashy, with stamina being your biggest consideration, as we normally see in a lot of these games.
Yeah.
But one of the better combat systems I've played in quite a while. It was quick, smooth. It's movement based. There's dodging. The parrying system is really rewarding. It's very entertaining when you start to get it right. The one thing I really liked, the realism of the dodging, was doing a dodge at the right time wasn't good enough. You needed to dodge the right way. It's like if you did dodge something at the right time, but you dodged in the same direction that someone was kind of swinging at you, you kind of get hit by the aftermath of that swing. I actually liked the commitment to realism there because sometimes dodging is a little bit too easy. So you kind of had to rely on both, jumping between parrying and dodging at different times. But the game serves parrying because as you parry, you break. It's very much like Sekiro. You break the enemy's poise. And then once you've broken their poise, you can do like an ultimate attack on them. Throwables worked really nicely. Closing distance was great. This is a bit of an overlap with entertainment, but some of the combats that you can build were really, really sick. Sorry, some of the combat combos that you could build were really sick.
Nice.
And if you actually took the time to learn a few of them, they were super helpful. Like that kind of thing where it's like X is light shot and let's just say Y is heavy, right? Like say you did like X, Y, X, Y, right, at the right time, it would kind of cue this nice little combo and it was sick.
Nice.
So really enjoyed the mechanics of it. They were great. Entertainment. For me, the entertainment levels of this game were kind of like a standard distribution, like if you will. Like during the prologue, during the pilot, if you will, it was kind of a bit slow. Like I wasn't sure. There was a moment there where I wasn't sure that I was going to finish it, or I wasn't really going to pick it up. Like I was really doubting that at one point because there just wasn't much to do. Like, and it wasn't obvious where the storyline was going. You know, the early enemies were super boring. The first boss was like the smallest mini boss ever, but like a little bit frustrating. Like the age old concern that you have with these soulslites. But then, as soon as you got to the crevice or the round table, as soon as you started to meet Phantom Blade, as soon as you started to incorporate his abilities into what you did, started finding gear, being able to level up their gear, as we see with a lot of these games, the doors just opened, the floodgates opened, and it just became this like peak of entertainment for at least 80% of the game. And that's how the entertainment challenge worked for me. It was like the first 10%, like, holy hell, what are we doing? The next 80%, phenomenal, enjoyed it, got so into it. You know, it was like days I worked from home, it was like playing before work.
Damn.
Like, you know.
All right.
And then towards the end, got ready for the end. You know, like was ready to finish it up, and that was mainly because of the linearity, if you will, of the levels. But all in all, pretty entertaining. Okay. The bosses were super fun. There was a lot of variety in there. Some of them were really challenging, but there were no aggro moments. Like I enjoyed the fights. I enjoyed having to learn how to overcome them. It was, and especially with the storyline, like you bring those two things together. It was great. Loot. This is a bit of something that I am not a huge fan of with these kinds of games.
Mm-hmm.
It's overwhelming. You find too much. Like you find the same weapon time and time and time again, just with different stats. And I just don't like that. You know, and they did something with it. You can kind of like combine weapons to, you know, power them up. And I think that's what they wanted you to do, but that became expensive. It became something that was only really possible towards the back end of the game. Up until that point, you were just selling duplicate items.
Yeah.
For coins or for experience or something like that. It got super repetitive. Like,
that's annoying.
And this is something I've noticed in Wolong and a few of these other games. It's like you just find gear with every kill.
Yeah.
And it's like, it takes away from finding something good.
Yeah.
Because you find something all the time. So sometimes it wasn't until you get back to the crevice and be like, what did I find there? And actually sift through literally the dozens of things you had found. Like, and you go into your menu and it's got the new, you know, that new
flash or button.
The flash thing beside so many things, and you're just cleaning it out.
I know.
And then you find something, you're like, when and where did I find that absolute gem? I should have started working on that, like what in the level.
Yeah.
So like, I don't like the way these games do loot. Like, I know you hate this saying of mine, but especially with loot.
Here we go.
Less is more, man. Less is more with loot. Like, let me find one weapon that I would say 90% of the time, most gamers would be okay with just rocking one or two weapons for an entire game. That they're like, this is my weapon. I like this weapon. It scales with me. I can level it up as I go. I love the way it looks. Its aesthetic is fantastic. I love the attributes I can give it. I can upgrade it, whatever, right? I can dual wield it, whatever it is. I changed weapons like, it must have been by the end like 30 times.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Just continuously just going to the next one up, next one up, next one up, next one up, next one that looked this way, that looked that way.
I mean, it sounds like good variety. Like, I feel like there would be those people out there who'd go, I love that. Like, I want as much loot as possible. You know,
there would be people that would love this.
Yeah.
There'd be people that would love this. And one thing that I did like that they did with it is most, not all, but most pieces of loot would belong to a set, even though they'd look entirely different. So, like, for example, there was like a hunter set.
Yep.
And then there was like...
with bonus stats if you get the full set?
A marauder set. Yeah, but you didn't have to get the exact thing. Like, you could pick up something random and it would look really different to the other pieces that you had of that
because
set.
It was just the same marauder or whatever. Yeah, that's cool.
Attributally, if that's even a word, if you will, it's definitely not. It belonged to the same set.
Gotcha.
And as you wore and used more pieces of the same set, it would kind of unlock.
Right.
It'd be like, hey, now that you've got 4 pieces of this set on, you know, you've got a 10% damage reduction, whatever.
Nice.
So I like that they did that. All in all, Little bit linear, a little bit repetitive in a few of the pillars, but the bosses were great. Storyline was fantastic. The main character's great. How it looked was good. The level design was really good. The variety of different enemies was really great. The little nooks and crannies, if you wanted to do extra exploration, exploration is fantastic. It was fantastic. Yeah. All in all, like a really good game. So here are the numbers.
Yeah, give me the numbers.
Storytelling. Okay. I'm breaking this down to 3 as I normally do: storyline, character development, world build. Storyline, 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Fresh, new, not just, this was an established warrior that had a fall, had a little bit of a fall from grace. Immediate, was never down, it was never like down.
10 for story. 10 out of 10.
I loved it. I couldn't fault it. I went to give it 9 and I was like, why would you give it 9? And I just couldn't. Fresh, new, good. Okay. The motivations were on point. The conflict was great. How he navigated it was fantastic. All that type of stuff. Love it. Character development, 9 out of 10. Love the little back and forth they had going on. That was fantastic as well. World build, 8 out of 10. But that's just me. That's just me. That's just my preference. Up, down, straight and back gets a little bit old for me. But anyway, storytelling comes in at a 9.
Okay.
So strong results from a storytelling perspective for Khazan. Gameplay. This consists of mechanics, entertainment challenge, and loot. So another 3. Mechanics, 10 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The way it flowed, the way it played, like, just flawless. Like, and people that have played this will know what I mean. Like, it truly is from a combat perspective, a movement perspective. There's no button mapping, but I didn't mind the format that they had.
Yeah. Fair. Okay. All right.
So it's okay. No jankiness, no delays.
These scores are sounding really positive. Like when you were doing the review, I was like, this doesn't sound like it's going to be a top one.
Hang on. Entertainment challenge.
Okay.
7.5.
All right. Okay.
If someone was to ask me, was this game hard? I'd say no. Actually, grand scheme of things, this game is easy. I was never stuck on a bus. Hopefully I'm never stuck on a bus. That sounds terrible. I was never stuck on a boss for, I don't know. I think there were 3 that I was really like, I got to put my head down here. Do I have to go back to the crevice to upgrade something? 3 in the entire, and there's like 25 bosses. Most of them were actually just fun, right? You just kind of needed to get a few things right in order to get through it. But once you did, it was actually pretty easy. Fair. And I think for other points I've already listed, the entertainment could have been higher.
Good. Okay. All right.
Loot, I'd give a 7. I enjoyed the aesthetic of a few things. Wasn't crazy. There wasn't like some weapon I lost my mind over that all of us would use because it was so good. It got a bit overwhelming. I think loot starts to lose its value probably once when you find something on every dead
6th person.
Yeah. So I gave that a 7 out of 10. Gameplay comes at an 8.3. Overall score 8.88.
8.88.
It's up there.
That's a good score. Like that's pretty respectable.
Yeah. I think it's fair. It just, what it does is it kicks some really big goals, which a lot of games usually don't.
Okay.
Like a lot of games actually don't kick storyline goals anymore. This game did. Character development, the world build, they did it really well. The mechanics as well give it a huge leg up.
Yeah.
Like to be flawless from the mechanic perspective. How many games do we like that we're like, that one thing that just sucks. So I think they kick goals in the storyline and the mechanics. A 10 out of 10s in those pillars give a foundation for a good game.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, geez, it's a really glowing score. I remember playing the demo and, I was enjoying it, but I was just like, I don't know, it didn't hold me. It didn't make me want to drop a dime to go full way through. I think maybe I was just not in the mindset of that kind of more linear type of game, in this sort of frustration of learning movesets. But, anyway, no, I'm glad you enjoyed it. There is a few listeners I'm aware who've sort of let me know that they'd love to hear us do an episode on Khazan, the last Berserker.
Oh, good.
So I'll be keen to get their feedback and see what they think.
Yeah, and you're right. I did never play the demo, but as I said, it does start off a little slow. It's kind of like one of those things where like someone gives you their best show,
Yeah.
And you watch the first 2 episodes and you go, I don't know. And they go, just give it a second. Just give it a second. You know what I mean?
Like until season 2, episode 6, and then it
wait
gets
till
good.
that red wedding.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, okay, I'm in this.
Yeah. Agreed.
Maybe I think it's a little like that, to be honest, because as I said, like it's just that it's that fucking U-shaped even distribution for entertainment. Starts off a little bit on the low, and then that bulk of the game is just peak enjoyment.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, going, when I review Crimson Desert, storyline's going to be pretty bloody low in it and going to drag the rest of the scores down. But, it is the pillars at work.
That is the rating system, man. Yeah, that's how they work.
Fold it.
They're there for a reason.
They totally are.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I mean, it's crazy how fast 50 minutes go by, but geez, it's a quick one.
Can talk, eh?
Yeah, well, you'll hear us next time. And again, apologies for the delay. There has been things that have occurred in our lives, T, that have led us to be a bit slow on the next episode. But as we said, I don't think we missed much. So,
and there's a good string of games coming out.
Yeah,
like the back end of this year looks stacked.
It does. I mean, this year in general is stacked. I mean, I'm super excited for a lot of the games coming out. But yeah, we should chat to you and sort of pencil down who's going to be playing what.
100%. Thanks for tuning in. Follow us on socials, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Go to our website, theeveninggamer.com.au. We use the handle The Evening Gamer Podcast on most things. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here since day one, fucking get in there, son. Good to have you back. But most importantly, don't be an NPC.
Keep leveling up.
Thanks, everyone.